just had a good stopping point.
All right. Dun, 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 dun. Stop. Yeah, that's fine. Share.
Hello. Well, hello. How are
Everyone.
you doing?
I'm okay. Nice to see you here.
I just thought, I need to catch
Wow,
up
Tyson,
or.
you really put out a spread.
Yes, I always try and put out a spread.
Oh.
So if you ever
What
see
did
me
I?
doing an IT meeting or an IT thing, I will always have a spread.
I'm walking here and didn't even see it.
Oh, there.
Like, but I just had lunch, so.
We have to rectify that. Yeah, I haven't had my lunch yet.
I did, I just inhaled it.
Oh. I had cookies earlier.
And I just had cheese, that was my lunch. I'll have a dessert.
Oh, there you go. I know.
No.
How are your dogs? They're well. Good. I don't know if I should
This is the wrong link.
Scrumpy turned 10 last week. And so we had he was actually born, he came from the Humane Society, but he was dropped off as a puppy. So theoretically they knew his birth date, and he was born on 5/5/5.
Did you get him as a puppy?
We didn't. We got him when he was so a family adopted him from the Humane Society, and then they had a child about a year or so after they adopted him. She was fine. But the second child they had, this little boy was allergic to dogs. And all this stuff.
Too bad. Oh,
So they had to get rid of him. So then that's when we took him.
Oh,
So we
okay.
took him from the family, but theoretically
fine,
we came.
fine.
So anyway, so we had a little Cinco de Mayo celebration for him. And I made him, last year I got this costume at this fundraiser for this one. It's called, what is it called? No, I can't even remember.
Great.
Yeah. But that kind of is scary to realize, like, oh, maybe I'm.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a step, it was a,
Like a new ring.
something, yeah. It's been
Oh,
many
okay.
years ago, I can't
Okay.
remember what it was.
They normally, I've heard, they have the reputation now. They
Excellent.
really work with people on the
On
payback
track,
terms.
yeah, oh, yeah. No, at that time, they just said, this is what we're gonna do, and it was fine with me, I suppose, if I said, wait.
All right.
Might have, but I didn't even do that.
So, welcome, everyone. Is that someone coming? No, it's not more people coming.
Okay.
Okay, well, welcome to the IT Random and Q&A. So, yes?
You're standing in front of some of the work.
Oh, sorry. We'll step a little bit
Sorry
more
about
to the right there. All right, cool. So, some new developments over the last few months, plus, of course, checking in on passwords. But first, so passwords. Over the last ever, people have been saying, IT people especially, 8 characters, 1 uppercase, 1 number, 1 symbol, no real words. However, if you just do 8 characters, it's 52 seconds to crack a password. Uppercase, it takes about 3 hours. Number, 15 hours. Adding a symbol still only gets you up to 3 days. Unfortunately, due to poor security, password breaches have happened. Because of breaches at Sony, LinkedIn, Dropbox, Last.fm, and many other places over the last few years, hackers now have ginormous quantities of passwords that they've been running statistical analysis on and finding interesting patterns that allow them to then make their password cracking attempts much more targeted. So the password Susan123, 234, and that, they assume that they know that they are going to test those before they start doing random numbers. So yes, unfortunately, this is what IT people have been saying your password should be. Switching however, it's hard to remember.
Yeah.
Short 8-character passwords with random letters and numbers. Some pseudo word in there is hard to remember. However, correct horse battery staple is really easy to remember, and it is really hard for a computer to crack that. This will take, let's see here, 550 years at 1,000 guesses a second.
Wow.
So
Even though they're 4 words, but running them all together.
running them all
makes it so,
together,
okay.
yes.
Okay.
There's no space.
So
Yeah.
no, just
Okay.
so longer but more memorable passwords like lyrics or poems or whatnot, or even just random words put together.
And PSU allows just
Yes.
words now?
As long as it's long enough,
Okay.
they have to have at least 14 characters for it to accept them, but if it's long enough, you can actually put real words in there. But because it's long enough, you don't have to worry so much about the dictionary attacks, because it's not single words, it's combos of words.
I know Jeannie used to use the drugs, like, acetaminophen.
I wouldn't,
something.
if you're going to use a word, use at least 3 words, because if it's a single word, they can just run a dictionary at it.
Oh, I see, okay.
Dictionary guessing is very fast.
Oh, really?
So, oh yeah,
Okay.
because it's it's to run the entire English dictionary, including all medical appendices, as a password check takes way less time because there's way less possible words than even just 8 random characters. So
Okay.
yeah, the other solution, especially if you're going to have passwords on lots of other sites, is a random single-use password for each site that's managed with a passwords manager, like LastPass. LastPass is great. They don't actually know your passwords. They don't hold on to them. They hold on to an encrypted blob that only you can access. And then it integrates with all major web browsers. There's all the major cell phones have LastPass apps on them that act as web browsers that let you just automatically put in the username and password. It's really nice and really great.
And because it's an encrypted blob, that means, because I've always wondered about those, because how do they keep it all secure?
It really depends on the password management company, and a lot of them are, no, just give us your passwords and trust us, we won't do anything with them. But LastPass seems to be the top of the line of them, the most trustworthy. They do everything right. They publish all their specifications, what encryption they're using, how the files are stored. If you really want to, you can kind of, from their documentation, reverse engineer your own client for it. So they're very open about that. So yeah, so LastPass is really the only one out there that has really kind of proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that they're as secure as they can be, and that they never see your passwords. So, so yeah, LastPass is great. And if you want help setting that up, totally, that's something we can do. Also coming online is two-factor authentication. You may have seen this where it asks for a password and then texts you a code. That's basically showing that you have something your password, and that's something you have, whether it be your cell phone or access to an email account. That's something that you have. There's a third factor that is something that you are, which a lot of cell phones, especially with Apple, doing the thumbprint verification. That third factor is becoming more prevalent. Unfortunately, Apple is the only one that seems to have gotten it right at this point. They have a because they're able to, they control from all the way from the chip level all the way up through the software layer. They are very good about securely storing fingerprints and not giving applications access to the fingerprint reader except through a very kind of isolated token-based sort of system. But the Android phones have not been able to get that level of consistency, and the Apple stuff seems to only work for specifically Apple Pay or other Apple-specific applications. It works great, very trustworthy for those, but not as a general use authenticator. So, but that's something that will be coming down the horizon, just as second factor authentication as something that's been coming over the last 3 to 5 years. Now that everyone has cell phones, they can get little, pins texted to them. Yeah. Oh, okay. Cool. If you go to a website that wants you to set a password, there are some things you want to look out for. Specifically, restrictions on their password. If a site will not let you have a password longer than 8 characters or longer than 12 characters, they are storing your password raw, just flat out. That if they're storing it in in that, any of those length restrictions like that mean that the way that they're storing it is in a way that's possible to get it extracted, like the passwords of Last.fm or Dropbox or whatnot. So password recovery. They send you an email with your password in it and say, here's your password, just keep using it. They're storing your password raw. Also, they are sending your password over the supremely insecure method of email, which is Post-it note on the back of a postcard and shipping it off to you. So yeah, if a website ever, as part of their password, remember my password, actually sends you your password, they're storing it wrong. Ideally, no sites would ever store your password. They would just store hashes of your password, so they can't even reverse engineer it. If they use secret questions, what was your, first high school? What was your high school? What was your first dog's name? All of those questions, those nice BuzzFeed, what movie character are you questions that are constantly at, those questions mean that they're insecure. Those secret questions, because they're either something that's easily look-upable or extractable from you through social engineering, like the online surveys that ask you things about your personal life to tell you what movie star you are. There's a lot of ways of getting access to that information. So if they do require secret questions, treat them as if they were different, as if they were passwords, because they have the same power as passwords, and they are not secured in any way as strongly as passwords. Most sites are moving away from those and moving more towards the second factor authentication, where they text you or email you an authentication code that proves that you control that account, that you are who you say you are. Yeah, if they're not using hashes. Hashes are this mathematical construct that basically takes information. It can be any information. It turns it into a random blob of noise, and you cannot go back from that random blob of noise back to whatever you put into it. So with passwords, you've got the password here. It goes through into this random blob of noise here. It will always turn into this random blob of noise, but there is no mathematical way for them to take just this blob of noise and turn it back into that. So hashes are great. If they have, but the thing about hashes is they should be able to take any content. So if a site has restrictions on, what sort of symbols you can put into your password, that sort of stuff, that usually indicates, or if it has limits on length, that usually indicates they're not properly hashing their passwords. So just be aware of that. Universal login, everyone has seen this. Hopefully, every day, everyone sees this. This is great. It lets us have one login that looks the same, that it goes through the exact same website on every tool we log into. If you log into it, if you then go to another site that requires a login, that one login will last 2 hours, so it won't prompt you to give your username and password again. So if you open up you log in once and then open up all your other sites, you're already in. So that's nice. And it covers pretty much everything at this point. It can be used to get into here, except my files. So if you're going to access the iDrive from off campus, if you need to download a file, sort of thing, and you're not using the VPN, and you need to get something, myfiles.pdx.edu is a way to get access to your H&I drive. But it doesn't use the single sign-on, much to my annoyance. Yes?
Is there a better browser when we're at home to use with MyFiles, or to get? Okay.
Yeah. Basically, MyFiles only works one way. It only works consistently one way. Supposedly, we can use other browsers to use it two-way, but honestly, it's not as secure and not as reliable as just connect to the VPN, go to departments, do the whack departments.psu.ps.edu.
Yeah.
So, yes. But unfortunately, with the single sign-on, this has made phishing attacks way more targeted and more sophisticated. Phishing attacks, if you don't know, are people trying to fish for your username and password and other personal information. So this is a phishing attack from about this is a WordPress site that was compromised. That they took the old universal login and got it hosted at some medium.assura.com/WordPress includes, they compromised a WordPress website and then kind of hidden this login capture page within that compromised site.
Exactly like what we look at.
This is one that just came around actually, and this this looks exactly like it.
How do you get what would get me to that screen?
Any of those emails that have been going around that have basically say, click here, your account is doing something weird. You need to log in to verify. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that is,
So the key is always just putting in the pdx.edu.
the key,
Mail.pdx.
Is where it's.
the
going.
key is looking at this thing here.
Okay.
This green bar here that says Portland State University, US, with the little lock next to it. We pay a lot of money to make sure that that is there. This is, not only is this saying that we have a solid encrypted connection between whatever computer you are on in PSU, it's also been verified that it's actually PSU and not some random web server that's paid the money to get a certificate cut to look like us.
I think that'd be good for everybody to have that little screenshot with the red circle around it, like that that's what, you know.
Yeah.
Don't log on until.
Unless you see that.
And then you see that it is sso.pdx.edu.
Yeah.
You know, that is the single sign-on. And if anything asks for your password and it is not the green bar with the SSO here, it's probably a malicious attempt to get your stuff. So, yes.
Could you please send a screenshot to all social work,
I'll do that.
even if it's redundant?
Okay, will do.
Thank you.
All right. Ohm and affiliates and guest Wi-Fi. Ohm has changed. If anyone's gone in to look at their password or change their password recently, it's asked for like a cell phone and an email address, and it's now nice and flat and web, you know, looks nice in the web stuff. Great thing about it is it's faster to use. So changing your password, you don't click it and then it grinds and grinds and goes to a gray screen and grinds, and you're afraid that it's broken, but then it comes up. So it's faster. It doesn't have that grinding as much anymore. And it can be used on mobile. It reflows itself and resizes everything to be used nicely on mobile. So if your password expires or you need to change your password because your account's locked or whatever, you can just go on a cell phone, change your password, and it propagates like normal, and it's great. Also, we no longer use secret questions for password reset because, as I said, that's not secure. We've now gotten to second factor there, so it asks you for a non-PSU email address and a cell phone, and you can, if you need to reset your password or forget your password, it will text you an authorization code, and then you can give it that. So good on two-factor authentication. Affiliates are people that do not have PSU IDs or are current PSU staff with active Odin accounts or PSU students. So at this point, hiring managers are responsible for setting up the affiliate accounts. So if a PI needs to bring in community partners or a vendor or anything like that, contractors that are doing stuff that aren't being paid directly through PSU but through grants, we now go through Jen here at the RRI and CCF. I believe they go through John for that, and I'm not exactly sure who at School of Social Work. But basically, it's through that hiring person. The process is a little bit better, but it's still a multi-step process where the potential affiliate, they get an email asking them to fill out a form. They fill out the form. 24 hours later, they get another email saying call help desk, and then fill out another form. So it's a bit of a back and forth, and we really do need to stay on top of that. But we're actually hoping that having the hiring managers kind of run herd on that will make those make that just more, since that's already a process that they're managing anyway. Yeah. For normal staff that are onboarding, we're hoping that it'll be smooth. And guest Wi-Fi is now available. You'll notice there's the PSU guest Wi-Fi Wi-Fi network available along campus. It again uses second factor authentication. You log into it, the first thing it comes up is any web page you open, it'll ask you for who you are, it'll ask for an email address or a text or a cell phone number, and then it will text you or email you a code. Once you have that code, you give it back to that website, and then you have Wi-Fi access for 24 hours. So yes, it's a little bit of a dance there, but it takes less than a minute for most people. So yeah, and we can always, if you have people that want us to walk through it, we can walk them through it. Yeah.
So where do you find the guest Wi-Fi though?
Just in your the available Wi-Fi, you'll have PSU secure, PSU Wi-Fi,
sorry, okay.
and then or PSU and then PSU guest.
Okay.
So and it's everywhere.
Okay.
So copier scanning, the big change. So we have changed the default action for scanning from scan to email to scan to folder because scan to folder is far more reliable. And far more secure, even if you're not doing it to a special project folder. If you choose the scan to iDrive option, it goes to iStaff GSSW scan. It's right there with RI, CCF. It's just right there. You can scan to email, but it's still just as reliable as scan to email has always been. Also, it's just as secure, which is not at all secure or confidential. So scanning the email, even though it goes directly to you, is in no way secure or confidential. Yes?
How do you feel about, like, I'm just thinking, I would like to have my folder. I don't want to share with Core. I mean, just because my stuff's in there with everybody else's, and sometimes I have to sort through it. Like, can people have their own individual folder?
Eventually. We're looking into potentially an automated system for that. It's just to manage folders as people come and go, it's problematic to do it in that large bunch, as well as the provisioning on the personal level is a little problematic. So having the group folders is kind of our best solution right now. If ideally people, as soon as they scan to a folder,
I mean,
then
I
just,
do it a lot.
yeah, moving it out. Because the scanning folders are not supposed to be places where scans are stored.
Right.
It's just a temporary holding place for stuff.
Right.
So,
but then they do end up, sitting there. Like sometimes I'll save it somewhere else, but then I forget to go delete it. So it would be nice.
Well, if you move it out of there, like instead of opening it and then save it, just dragging it like to your desktop, it should automatically delete it when you move it.
I see.
So.
Okay.
Yeah. If not, like I said, we can do some special case stuff if there's, special case stuff.
Might be helpful for HR.
Yeah, I just do a lot of scanning. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I know just when I've scanned, when you go to the scanning thing, it's just got the number there. It doesn't say that it's Kath's or mine or what. Even though I've tried to put in, have you tried to put in text for the title? I have, but it doesn't show up.
Yeah, I tried to.
Would you try that?
Okay, I'll look into that.
Yeah.
But it would seem to make sense to have, like, we have the RI core, but I think it would make sense to have an HR one that you two would have.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I'll do that. Maybe
can,
I'll put in a ticket.
Yeah, we can break out smaller group ones that are like, job specific sort of thing. So yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, if you're project scanning confidential information like HR stuff, or confidential, subject information that could be potentially confidential, we can't set up project folders, secure project folders for them to scan to there.
It almost substitutes as, because scanning to email for me was very convenient. I knew, I only got my own scan and they were there all the time and somebody couldn't delete them. So that's what I loved about scanning to email. So if I have my own folder, if we have a shared folder, it's kind of like that same convenience.
Also, like I said, if we were going to go that much, I'd have to talk to OIT about some sort of automated system of doing that because
Is the setup?
The setup is time consuming, so it takes 5-10 minutes per setup.
Okay.
And so if we were,
With everything.
20 people suddenly, that's most of the day. So yeah. All right.
Don't tell anybody you guys are doing it.
That's what I was thinking.
We're gonna find.
So yeah. Also, people may or may not be already familiar with, but we now have self-service software available. This is software that you can install yourself without actually calling me over Doesn't need an admin login, anything like that. It just goes.
Can I go back to the, I'm so sorry.
Yes, no worries.
To the scanning, because am I the only one that experiences, sometimes it comes in color and sometimes it doesn't?
Yes.
Okay, is there a way to?
You can tell it to do just, do you want it to come in color?
Here's the problem, I mean, for me, is I don't always push the color button because sometimes I just assume it's gonna come in color, but it doesn't.
Auto detect. Like the default setting should be auto detect, but if it's enough of its color, it should, unless someone has gone in and changed it to black and white. Give me a shout if that happens, and I'll see if I can change the
It
defaults.
just seems to, for me, always go back and forth, and then I have to go back because I want
No worries.
I want that signature in color.
There should, I think there's on the front screen that if you just, there's a place on the front screen that'll tell you if it's color or not.
Okay.
Before you, or auto, it should say auto, color, or black and white before you start.
Yeah,
so.
and they're set for color, but sometimes it even comes to me in black and white. They're not set.
We may just set it to default to color at some point in the future.
Okay.
So. All right, on to self-service software. So this is just some of the software. If you want to go and explore, there's a lot more in there. It's pretty easy to find. You go to Start All Programs and then find this self-service software icon right there. And then here's all the stuff. You can scroll through and find software that you like. If you want it, you can just select it and press Install, and it installs. And if there's multiple things that you like, you can just check them off and then hit Install Selected, and it will just install them all in the background while you're working. And then,
And that's just Adobe Reader, it's not Adobe.
This is just an Adobe Reader, so yeah, that Reader's only in there.
Is Adobe Writer available or Pro?
Pro is available, but I'm going to get to that. That's part of the Adobe thing. So so there's a lot of stuff in here. Adobe PDF is a nice one. I like it. It kind of, not everything can save to PDF. Adobe PDF just gives you the ability to save to PDF. It doesn't give you the editing.
What's it called? Doe?
DO PDF.
Okay.
Yes. It doesn't give you the ability to edit PDFs, but it does give you the ability outside of, because these days Word and Chrome both do a really good job of being able to save things as PDF. But Doe PDF lets you do it with everything. So.
Question.
Yes.
If we're at home, that wouldn't work.
No, self-service software is not available on home machines. If you have a machine at home that is connected to the PSU domain, that you have to use your PSU credentials to log into and whatnot, and if you connect to the VPN and let it do a couple of things and then let it sit for a bit, this will be available off campus. So like, if you're off campus on like a PSU laptop, one of the checkout laptops, you can access this if you do a couple of steps, I guess. So, Adobe has moved to a subscription pricing model for most of their software. That means it's a yearly charge for pretty much all of their software at this point. Yes. Unlike others, unlike other software that we have on yearly cycles like SPSS, it always it doesn't charge at a set point in time. So it does seem to be from when you purchase it and it gets installed, that's when the year starts. So nice there. But it does there isn't you don't have to repurchase it every year. There is a renewal process, and as there's a renewal process, there's more stuff to deal with, DRAs and grant stuff there. Also, because we just started this last week, there's been no software that has expired, so OIT doesn't know what the renewal process is going to look at this exact moment. We're pretty much assuming that they will try and track back to the software purchaser. So for ERI, it would be Jen with the index code, and then say, is this index still valid, and do you still want the license for the next year? Also, as far as I can tell, only install these on PSU-owned computers that are connected to the PSU network. You know, if someone comes in from outside, we may be able to install it, but that's more of that would be a dance with help desk, and it may be a possibility, but it's just a more complicated process.
Do we know right now when it's gonna expire?
It'll expire a year after you purchase it.
But like the one that's on my computer currently?
That's not going to expire. So all of the things that are previously installed, everything that was installed before now are perpetual licenses.
Okay.
So they can't take that away from us. But going forward, it's going to be subscription licenses.
She had a good point though. What about the updates? Will those?
Yeah, you'll still get normal updates to,
And they won't be charged.
No, yeah. And Acrobat Pro is the exception to this. So even going forward, when we purchase a new license of Acrobat Pro, it is a perpetual license of Acrobat Pro, not a yearly license.
What is perpetual mean?
From then on. So like, as long as we don't, you know, lose the install, not technically permanent, because eventually it will stop running on whatever operating system, you know, in 5 years. You know, and the PDF standard may have changed, so it no longer reads modern PDFs in, you know, 5-10 years. So, yeah, you won't get the automatic updates to the next version. So, yeah. All right, you will get like incremental security and whatnot maintenance updates, but you won't go from Acrobat Pro 10 to Acrobat Pro 11 without paying. But so here are the ones with yearly licenses, and Acrobat Pro is the perpetual license. You'll notice that all the yearly licenses cost the same. And then down here we've got the Master Collection for cheaper than 2 yearly license. So basically, if you're going to need 2 of these, 2 of any Adobe product, you might as well get the Master Collection and get them all. That's just how they're doing it. And we're actually going through, we're not even purchasing these direct from Adobe. They're being purchased through a third party, you know, that then contracts with mass contracts with Adobe. It's a whole big thing. Originally, they were planning on charging us about 4 times as much for this until, you know, so we haven't been able to order any of this software for like the last 2 months at this point, because we've been in negotiations and discussions with Adobe over it.
Are those prices per machine?
Per machine, yes. So if you have a laptop and desktop, they're 2 separate, and unfortunately, Master Collection, you can't like get 2 licenses of Photoshop, one on your laptop, one on your, and have them both under Master Collection. So, yes. Adobe changes. OIT service, I was gonna change that. All right, that's wrong. So, OIT services, virtual server hosting. We have, if projects need like their own web server or their own database server for data gathering purposes, OIT has those. So we don't need to go out to like, you know, like Rackspace or whatever. So if like a project has some special software they need running on a server, or a special service that they need for data gathering or data maintaining, like SIBS has their whole children in foster care database with their custom client is able to get data in and out of. We have the resources to host those inside. That gives us a lot of control over managing of those services, and really helps us move those services in the direction of HIPAA. So, and may actually make getting them HIPAA certified way easier. So just be aware that if someone is looking at a project that is going to need a server or resources or like that, we have them internally. We should approach those first to see if they meet your needs, and kind of possibly build your project's requirements around those resources. Otherwise, prices can pile up. Yes.
Is that free?
No. These services run about $1,000. The virtual servers run around $1,000 to $1,500 a year, which is pretty comparable to Rackspace or other services. And depending on what you're going to be using them for, we may actually be able to drop that lower or whatnot, depending on the actual needs of the project. So yeah, and then not the ASRC, but the ARC developers. Will Garrick's team, again, this is not a free service, but they are available to then develop these sort of projects that need above and beyond stuff. They have a whole team of developers there. They seem to do pretty good work. We've worked with them repeatedly in the past for the VCP video coding, as well as Cassie and some other tools. So they seem to be a great group. They're very price comparable to having an outside developer put it together. So
And what's the name again?
ARC.
ARC.
Yes.
Academic Resource Computing.
Yes.
Oh.
They are great people.
They are great people.
And then the thing that everyone forgets we have, but is amazing, Qualtrics. Qualtrics is, a lot of people just see it as survey software. It is that, but more. It is a great way of getting confidential data into the university, gathering it from partners or other sites. It has the ability to bring in files up to a certain size. It's got a really nice, very secure pipeway to get the files in to them and then to us. It is an amazing tool, and people don't utilize it enough for confidential and for HIPAA data. So yes.
Is it easy to use?
Oh yeah. It's just, give me this.
Like me,
Yeah.
survey.
I want a survey. I want, I want to ask a text question. I want,
Okay.
a multiple choice question, and then upload a file.
We use it for the lead roster.
Oh.
That's
Mhm.
nice to
Qualtrics.
see that.
It's simple.
It's
Yeah.
it's very
But-
simple.
but-
That's what we want.
Yeah, right.
It's got a lot of
Not
power.
really
It's got a lot of power in there.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly.
Is it free?
It's It is free to all PSU staff.
Okay.
So yes, you can go in and create surveys and start gathering confidential information.
I think John Oseweski is very good at it.
John is, Vicky and the whole SRL lab, they're pretty well versed in it. Vicky does support for me on it, so.
Is that one of the start choosing of the program options, Qualtrics?
No, it's a website you can go to. It's portlandstate.qualtrics.com. And
Super.
yeah, but yeah, if you are gathering any sort of information
Better than
digitally,
SurveyMonkey.
yeah, I would really trust this. SurveyMonkey's nice because it has a good distribution tool sort of thing for like tracking emails and have they opened the email stuff. But for the most part, if you're doing anything confidential, anything that's because their whole data structure and whatnot is HIPAA certified, which SurveyMonkey cannot say. So. Yeah, once we get it to us, then we have to deal with the HIPAA aspects of it up until then. So yeah, any questions about anything else, about Google, about software ordering, about hardware, anything else?
So going back to the scanning thing, if I scan something to the iDrive and then somebody over at the school needs it, they can still access the iDrive scanning folder, right? Because that's under all.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the iDrive Scanning Act folder is just kind of the catch-all for all the scanners. So so I mean that is a place that if someone wants you to scan something for them, you can scan it and then tell them the time that you scanned it. Honestly,
It's really helpful.
That's-
That's what
that's what I
information. Yeah, totally.
so
Okay.
and that's a great way to get the information over to them, and then they can just pick it up there.
Okay.
Also, if you want, I wouldn't this isn't like the ideal for it, but if you have people that need to scan stuff and then give it to you, they can just scan it to. You can tell them to scan it to one of the project folders that you have access to, and then everyone can scan into folders, but only you can see what's in there. So it's kind of a one-way file sort of thing. Anything else?
Chrome and Banner.
Oh yes, Chrome and Banner, Chrome and Banner, Chrome and Banner, Chrome and Banner.
It doesn't work together.
Chrome does not like Banner.
I use Firefox.
Yeah, that's what I do.
As it stands, Chrome has disabled the way that third-party plugins like Banner, like Java and Flash and Adobe connect to web browsers. They've disabled that channel. Silverlight as well. Some people who do like streaming sports video, and I think some other things use Silverlight. They just don't work on Chrome anymore. Chrome has kind of drawn a line in the sand that this standard that was written in 1994 should not be a standard anymore because it's insecure and causes problems, which, yeah, they're kind of right. So they have decided to cut that off. Whether or not Java ever returns to Chrome, and with Java Banner ever returns to Chrome, that remains to be seen. I haven't been able to see any clear indication of that. Yeah. Ideally, we get a standalone launcher for Banner that doesn't need a web browser, and which is something we can push out through self-service, and that way we could set Java never to touch the internet ever again, because Java in the web browsers is hazardous. It's why Java is constantly updating itself. So yeah.
Does PSU have a policy about communicating with people in a non-PSU email account? I thought PSU.
Good question.
Like,
Yeah. Like, hey, let's go for a bike ride. Should I not have that on my mail PDFs?
Yeah.
Like,
All right.
I never even considered that. That's crazy.
Yeah, and two, like I have some people that work at PSU. They actually have PSU emails, but they never check them. They only go through their private Yahoo.
PSU.
They look like that too, and they always have their Gmail account.
Mhm.
Yeah, my
Not their-
tendency is to think I just am only going to send it to PSU.
PSU officially,
But then too.
all official email,
Whole thing.
all official HR and whatnot emails should be going through their PSU email. And within the RRI, we've always had, all official email goes through your PSU email. We have not made as much of a point of it in the last couple of years, but that's kind of been we've kind of made a point of it for a couple of years and then kind of let it slide.
Could you please mention that in the PI meeting next week?
Okay.
Like, just as a reminder,
Mhm.
because that's pretty
So,
important.
yeah,
It happened to me today where she was like, send it to my Hotmail account. And I didn't press it, but I was thinking to myself, I said, no, you can forward all of those to
But,
PDX.
yeah.
And
the problem with using personal accounts for official business is that as soon as is that none of those accounts are protected by PSU legal in the case of a subpoena.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so it'd be nice to kind of know that I can enforce and just say,
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
sending it to your PSU and open it or
Go
not.
there.
I mean, yeah.
And that's it.
As far as I was aware, that was a policy that we were enforcing, so I, for the most part, tried to enforce that. But if we need to do an explicit sort of
I think that would be
Work-
helpful.
work
Because
from the
I'm on a
dean
couple
down.
projects where people have Gmail accounts that's what they,
And so that's what I respond to, because that's what they're
Mhm.
emailing from.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I want them to obviously read my email.
Yeah. It really, it's as soon as email leaves the PSU system, we lose what few legal protections email has. Like,
We should enforce that. I think it's sort of a thought, like this is a good idea, but
And as a business policy,
It's a good
definitely-
idea.
It's a good idea. It's in many cases it's a required idea. So. Yeah, so I'll try and remember. I'll shoot an email off to include that in the TI meeting.
Thank you.
So, all right. Any other questions? Anything else? Questions or concerns that you've had over the last?
Maybe if you could
This is
stick
a bit-
that in, the, all PSU related things are gonna go through your PDXEU, that and that, the locked thing up on the URL, those two things can go in an RI, not, I think SSW everybody.
Yeah, I'll do an SSW everybody for that one.
Super. I guess I don't know what school's policy is, SSW's policy on PDXEU.
I'll talk to Brian
It must
about that.
Yeah, super. I can imagine it's a PSU thing versus a college thing.
Let's go. Thank you.
Yeah,
That's
that's
awesome.
great, thank you.
All right, thanks for all the vigils.
Yeah.
Yep.
Redundancy.
Totally.
It's like Friday. I know, it seems like it. I think it's the weather. It's maybe so. Just being kind of
I knew
sunny.
it started the other challenge.
Yeah.
So when I saw her today, she was like, how